In European tales, the trickster often appears as a human-like figure, but in North American stories, the trickster is a shape-shifting spirit who slips between forms at will, transforming from animal to human and back again. Why is that? Perhaps it's because animals embody the raw, untamed energy of the natural world, the kind of energy that defies rules and shatters boundaries. Up and down the North American continent, the trickster takes on many guises. Along the misty coasts of the Pacific Northwest, he appears as a raven, cunning, curious, and always ready to stir up trouble. Venture a little further south, and the trickster might be an industrious weasel, using its wits to outsmart larger foes. Out on the vast prairies and in the sun-drenched lands of California, the trickster comes to life as a coyote, a creature known for its quick thinking and audacity. Here, he's a cultural hero and a troublemaker all in one, blending the roles of teacher and rebel. Move toward the southeastern woodlands, and you'll find the trickster hopping through the tales as a hare or a rabbit, clever and swift, always finding a way to stay one step ahead. And if you journey up to the deep forests of the north, you'll encounter the trickster in a surprising form, a spider, weaving webs of mischief and fate. No matter the shape he takes, the trickster goes by many names: Manabozo, Glooskap, and others known among the Algonquin and other indigenous peoples. He is more than just a figure of fun. He's a boundary crosser, a rule bender, a creature who defies definition. Imagine a world where the line between human and animal is blurred, where a mischievous creature can shape reality with a clever trick, a cunning plan, or a stolen treasure. This world is alive in the myths of Native America, where the trickster is not just a character but a force of nature. And what's most fascinating? These tricksters are animals, each one chosen with care, representing more than meets the eye. Across the diverse landscapes of North America, the trickster takes on different forms. In the woodlands, he emerges as the great hare, Manabozo, or Glooskap, bringing laughter and chaos to the forest's depths. Head south and you might meet him as the rabbit, swift and sly, always finding a way to turn the tables. Out on the prairies, he's the coyote, bold, brash, and endlessly crafty, embodying both the spirit of the wild and the cunning of a lone wanderer. And in the Northwest, you'll find him as the raven, the magpie, or even the weasel, creatures that don't just survive but thrive by outsmarting the world around them. But why these animals? Why not a creature that travels in packs or flocks? Notice that all these tricksters, whether hare, coyote, or spider, are loners. They live on the margins, often preferring solitude to the safety of a group. While crows gather in flocks, ravens choose to go it alone. Rabbits may hop together, but hares take to the open fields alone. Wolves roam in packs, but the coyote runs solo. And then there's the spider, perhaps the most solitary of them all, spinning its web in the stillness, away from the gaze of others. Could this be why these creatures were chosen to embody the trickster spirit? Because they symbolize the outsider, the rebel, the one who operates beyond the rules of society? Each of these animals brings a unique skill to the role of the trickster. The spider spins its web with a mysterious, almost magical precision. The raven, recognized by biologists as one of the most intelligent birds, has a talent for mischief and thievery. And then there's the coyote, perhaps the most famous of all the tricksters, celebrated for its sharp wit and resourcefulness. The trickster is more than a mere jester or a rogue. He holds a double role, both a cultural hero and a deceiver. Take, for example, the myth where the raven steals the sun, the moon, and the stars, then places them in the sky. Is he a thief? Yes. But without him, would the world have light? The trickster stories challenge us to think differently, to see beyond the surface, and to embrace the unexpected. So as we dive into these tales, let's ask ourselves, what is it about these solitary, cunning animals that makes them the perfect tricksters? And what does the trickster reveal about our own struggles with rules, norms, and the desire to break free? Let's journey into a world where a spider spins not just webs, but stories. Stories that stretch across time and space, touching on everything from the creation of language to the breaking of taboos. In the myths of the Lakota and Dakota tribes, we meet a trickster unlike any other, Iktomi the spider. Now don't let his 8 legs fool you. This is no ordinary arachnid. He's a cultural hero, a fool, and a creator all wrapped into one. But who exactly is he, and what makes him so captivating? Imagine a being who sat once among the gods, a figure of wisdom, responsible for naming all the animals and shaping time and space itself. Yes, Iktomi had a place in the heavens, but like all tricksters, his wild nature got the better of him. His bad behavior got him booted from the divine council, sent to wander the earth with only his cunning as a weapon. And boy, did he know how to use it, though not always to his advantage. Iktomi is obsessed with 2 things: outwitting others and, well, let's just say he fancies himself a great lover. He sees himself as irresistible to women, thanks to his magic love potion and a flute that, when played, can make hearts flutter and inhibitions disappear. He's been known to transform into a handsome young man, using his charms to lure unsuspecting women, sometimes even his own daughters, breaking all manner of taboos along the way. Talk about tangled webs. In one particularly scandalous tale, Iktomi's lustful nature leads him into a rather embarrassing situation. One night, he decides to sneak into the teepee of a young woman determined to seduce her. But unknown to him, his wife has discovered his scheme. Instead of confronting him, she swaps places with the young girl. So there's Iktomi, whispering sweet nothings to what he thinks is his new conquest, bragging about how much younger and more beautiful she is compared to his old crow of a wife. Come morning, he sneaks back to his tipi for breakfast, only to be met by his furious spouse. She lashes out, and Iktomi barely escapes with his life. But hunger soon drives him back. With a sheepish grin, he tries to charm his way back into her good graces, saying, "Oh, but my dear, you're still the most beautiful of them all. Didn't I give you a wonderful night?" The trickster's folly isn't just for laughs. It's a lesson in the folly of hubris. Iktomi's stories remind us that even the cleverest can be foolish, that those who seek to deceive may themselves be deceived. He dances between wisdom and absurdity, pushing boundaries and challenging norms. And that's the heart of the trickster's role, isn't it? To make us question what we take for granted, to laugh at our own flaws, and to remind us that life, like a spider's web, is both delicate and strong. Let's talk about the trickster, this wild, boundary-pushing figure who doesn't just bend the rules, but shatters them. Ever wonder why a character can be both a hero and a rogue, a cultural icon and a troublemaker? The trickster lives in that paradox. His power doesn't come from following the rules, but from breaking them. In fact, some scholars argue that the trickster's true strength lies precisely in his ability to violate taboos. But why is this so? And what does it reveal about us? Think about the most sacred taboos in societies throughout history. They often revolve around blood, menstruation, childbirth, incest, and even murder of a relative. In many cultures, blood is seen as a powerful, dangerous force, something that separates the sacred from the ordinary. Menstruating or birthing women would often be isolated from the rest of the community, not because of fear or disdain, but to protect others from the raw power associated with blood. So, what happens when a trickster crosses these lines? When he dives headfirst into what's forbidden? When a taboo is broken, chaos can ensue. But it's not just chaos for chaos's sake, there's something deeper at play. Take, for instance, the Navajo traditions, where breaking certain taboos, like incest, is said to grant special powers, particularly to shamans. It's dangerous, yes, and that's why shamans are often feared, seen as walking the edge between the known world and a realm of dark mysteries. It's why they live on the fringes of society, half embraced, half shunned. The powers they possess, gained from breaking taboos, are what allow them to heal, protect, or destroy. It's a double-edged sword. In times of crisis, some cultures even intentionally break taboos to access that forbidden power. Imagine a hunter, driven by famine, committing an act of incest to strengthen himself for the hunt. Or a young apprentice taking a life, a relative's life no less, to gain the dark arts of shamanism. These aren't just acts of desperation, they're rituals that tap into a force that society normally keeps at bay. And this is where the trickster comes in. The trickster doesn't just break the rules for fun, though there's plenty of that too. He does it to change the world. In the Navajo emergence myth, the first man and woman were sent to the eastern mountains to learn the secrets of life. When they returned, they sometimes wore masks, performing sacred rituals to ask the gods for rain. But those mountains also held darker, more unsettling knowledge that came at the cost of crossing boundaries. So, why do we keep telling stories of tricksters? Because they embody the tension we all feel between respecting boundaries and yearning to cross them. We want to tap into the power of breaking taboos without paying the price. And in these stories, it's the trickster who pays that price for us. He takes on the punishment, the isolation, the danger, and in doing so, he becomes a hero. Not a hero who follows the rules, but one who dares to defy them so that the world might be transformed. Let's meet Manabozo, the trickster of the Algonquin peoples, also known as Manabozo among the Ojibwa. He's not your ordinary hero, far from it. Manabozo is a bold taboo breaker, stepping far beyond the boundaries of what's socially acceptable. Incest with his sister and even his grandmother, and walking into a tent reserved for menstruating women to choose a wife? These acts would be unthinkable for anyone else. But for Manabozo, breaking taboos brings unexpected fortune. Each time he crosses the line, he gains new powers. After his scandalous choice of a wife, he transforms into a legendary hunter, his strength mysteriously enhanced by the forbidden blood rituals. He becomes a bringer of medicine, a founder of ceremonies, and ultimately, a culture hero. But what does it mean to be a hero whose journey is paved with transgression? In some versions of the myths, Manabozo goes even further. He introduces death to humanity. Why? Because blood and death are inseparable. They are the source of his power, and yet they are also the reason why even the trickster cannot escape mortality. Power comes at a cost, and for the trickster, that cost is always tied to blood, the force that can grant life, bring healing, or usher in death. Could the trickster's origins lie with the shaman, that powerful mediator between the human and spirit worlds? Many scholars think so. The shaman was no ordinary healer. They were a guide to the other side, someone who had to undergo a symbolic death to communicate with the spirits and then be reborn. During trance rituals, the shaman's spirit embarked on a perilous journey to the other world, be it the heavens or the underworld, acquiring knowledge and power along the way. When they returned, they weren't just ordinary people anymore. They had learned the language of the animals, controlled the weather, or brought back a lost soul from the spirit realm. The shaman was a figure of both hope and fear. They could heal diseases or summon them, bring life or death. Wrapped in animal skins and often transforming into birds like ravens or eagles, they seemed to move between the human and animal worlds, just like the trickster. It's no wonder that many see the trickster as a descendant of the shaman, a character whose roots reach back into humanity's earliest spiritual traditions. But what happens when a society evolves from a nomadic lifestyle to settled agriculture? As hunting loses its vital role, so does the shaman's central place in the community. With farming comes a shift in priorities, and the once revered shaman finds himself transformed in myth, from a powerful spirit worker to a cunning trickster. But he doesn't vanish completely. Even as a trickster, he retains a role in rituals, as seen in the Kachina ceremonies of the Hopi and Zuni, where shamanic figures continue to invoke rain for the crops. The trickster, then, is more than just a mythological troublemaker. He's a remnant of an ancient understanding of the world, a time when shamans controlled the weather, spoke with animals, and balanced on the edge of life and death. Could it be that the trickster is one of humanity's oldest representations of a deity, embodying the shaman's role as a bridge to the animal world, a bringer of chaos, transformation, and, ultimately, creation? So, is Manabozo a hero or a rogue? The answer is not simple because he is both. His outrageous actions defy societal norms, yet through these transgressions he changes the world. By breaking taboos, he gains power not just for himself but for his people, leaving behind new rituals, medicines, and even the concept of death. He plays the fool, but through his foolishness, profound wisdom emerges. The trickster may seem like he's only causing trouble, but in reality, he is challenging the very foundations of society to make room for growth, for change, and for the wild unknown. Manabozo's story reminds us that the line between chaos and order is never fixed. Sometimes it takes a trickster to break the rules so that something new can emerge, to challenge our boundaries so that we can expand them, and to remind us that even in the midst of disorder, there is always a hidden path to transformation. In the next lesson, we will continue our exploration of the North American trickster figure. Along the Pacific coast of North America, the raven takes center stage as the great trickster. It is the raven who steals fire and captures the celestial bodies, using cunning and wit to transform the world. As a trickster, the raven also outsmarts the enemies of humanity, fulfilling a role that in other parts of North America is often played by the coyote. The raven's antics and exploits are central to the mythology and cultural stories of the indigenous peoples along this coastal region, where it is revered as both a mischievous disruptor and a creator figure.